Action. Partner. I think you're my partner.
Okay, so yes, let's not do much of an African time today. Good evening, beautiful people. Good evening, everyone. It is so nice to have you come in and sit with us today. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Okay, so thank you so much for joining the session, and we sincerely hope that you have an amazing time with us today. Okay, so I said no African time, but we're gonna wait a bit, and then when we hit, let's say 30, yeah, 30 people, we will kick off this session. Yeah, officially. So let's just take a few minutes, not a few minutes, yeah, a few minutes, and then we'll kick off the session officially. Thank you so much for joining us. While we're waiting for more people to join us, I think it's only fair that you begin to introduce yourself and just drop your name and where you're reaching us or where you're joining us from in the chat box so that we get to know you as well. I am Edward Deborah. I am the communications manager for CIP, and for today I am your host. Okay, cool. Yes, I am your host, but then I am not doing this alone. I am not doing this alone. I have with me the amiable Tolulope Omoyeni, who will be my co-anchor for the session. Please, I just want to confirm, can everyone hear me, please? Okay, awesome. Yes. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So please, we encourage everyone to kindly mute if you're not really. Thank you so much, Chinon. So we encourage everyone to kindly mute if you join in, to just help us to maintain decorum so we can both, hear me, hear the speaker, and then hear every other person that needs to speak during the session. Thank you so much. I should be back in like two minutes at the most to officially kick off this session. Thank you. Okay, so we're good to go. Once again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining into the session. And before you all came in, we were having a chat with the speakers who are going to be coming on, and they are super excited and looking forward to the opportunity to share their own experiences, you know, their journey in the circular economy space, and just, you know, share it, pass it on, probably inspire one or two of you who isn't really, you know, isn't really into the whole circular economy space to develop and nurture that desire to be a part of what is happening in the circular economy space. So I'm going to introduce myself again, and then I'm going to introduce the session for today. So again, I am Edward Deborah. I am the Communications Manager, CIP, and I am your host for today. And with me, I have Tolulope Omoyedi, who is the co-anchor for the session. I also have Victoria in the chat box. She's going to be, you know, sharing some updates so that we don't miss anything at all during the entire session. There's also some amazing people with us today. And I will just go right into it by introducing CIP, what we do and what we stand for. So CIP stands for Circular Economy Innovation Partnership, and we are committed to the business of, you know, building partnerships between businesses, especially circular businesses, so as to ensure that everywhere in Nigeria, you know, we are able to adopt the circular economy ecosystem, like the circular economies. I'm trying to look for the right word. So that Nigeria as a whole transitions fully into circular economy. And in a few minutes, I'm going to give an explanation as to what circular economy is and why we are so passionate about this particular thing. So CIP does three things. We do research, we do advocacy, and then we also do program facilitation. And this particular program that you're joining us on today, this particular webinar or series, is one of our programs that we are facilitating, which comes under the Loop Lab Research Fellowship, and we'll shed more light on that in a couple of minutes. And as I was saying, CIP does research, we do advocacy, and we also do program facilitation. And, you know, this session was born out of the need to let people know that there are so many opportunities, especially young people, students, young professionals, and people generally in this, in Nigeria and in Africa as a whole, that there are so many opportunities that you can tap into in the circular economy space. So what is the circular economy space? I hope everyone can hear me. What does circular economy stand for, as it were? Because we've had people come up to us and say, we don't have any prior knowledge about what circular economy is. Could you break it down for us? Could you help us understand what it is before you just go telling us all about it? So what is circular economy? So circular economy, I'm going to put it as simply as I understand it, is a model of production and consumption, which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and recycling existing materials and products as long as it's possible. Now that I have said that out loud, I realize it is such a mouthful. So I'm going to use a simple analogy to like explain what circular economy is. So when you look at nature, one of the things you'll find in nature is the fact that nature does this regenerative model. So circular economy, it's like a regenerative model. Everything in nature is circular. So you have the trees, they do their own thing, they produce fruits, and then we probably take that fruit, you know, we make it into food and stuff, and then we release from our bodies, and that release that we do from our bodies is turned into, say, fertilizer that we give back into the soil, and the process continues over and over again. Or if we take animals, for example, so animals, we have the parasites that work on the soil, the plants grow, the animals take it up, the smaller animals that eat, you know, plants, they eat up the plants. And then the bigger animals that eat up those animals, eat those ones up. And we who eat the bigger animals, eat those animals up. However, we find a way to still give back to the soil. So that's like a circular model that circular economy works. But this time not resource, but with resources, with materials. I hope I am not too fast. with materials. So circular economy is very interested in creating a regenerative model where we don't just take, we don't just take things, we don't just make things and then we waste them. Instead, circular economy encourages us to, when we take things, we ensure that the things we are making out of them are durable, are long lasting, are reusable, have a longer lifespan. And when we are done with those things, we don't just throw them out. Instead of throwing them out, we take those things and say, what else can we do with these items? What else can we do with these particular things that we have taken out? I hope that this is able to, bring you up to speed about what circular economy is. It's really a wide space, but this is as simply as I can put it, for this session. So I am going to, I hope this was explanatory. So yes, you can actually join the session and encourage me, the speakers, everyone who will be sharing their knowledge and experiences with you today by using the chat box. And before, a lot of people came in, I was saying that people could introduce themselves. Go to the chat box and check those that introduce themselves. So I'm currently in Ogun State, and I think some of my colleagues are in Lagos, and so on and so forth. So let me quickly see. Okay, so we have someone here from Ogun State as well, Abdul Hakim. I hope I don't murder people's names today, so forgive me if I do that. I beg your indulgence. I beg your indulgence of that. So thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm going to pass the baton over to my co-anchor for today, Tolu Lokpe, so that she actually takes you through what this session is for today and what you can expect to happen today. Thank you once again for joining us. Yes, so over to you, Tolu.
Thank you so much, Deborah, for the wonderful introduction. My name is Tolu Lokpe Omoyeni, like she rightly introduced. I work with Circular Economy Innovation Partnership as the administrative assistant. Before I go into what I have to say, I want to say a special thank you to all the team that have made this possible. It really was a tireless effort putting things together. Thank you so much to the CEIP team. Also to our bosses, the Executive Director, Dr. Natalie, to our wonderful human and network manager, Mrs. Yomi Odutola. Thank you so much for your support. Then to our project manager, she's yet to join the call, but I'm sure she'll join the call soon, Sarah Ogbewe. Thank you so much for your support. So I am super excited to be on this call, and the reason is because I have so much looked forward to this day where we have circular economy stalwarts and enthusiasts come to learn from experts in the ecosystem. So Deborah said something about circular economy, what circular economy is in simple terms. I'm just going to add that, I'm going to cite an example to add or buttress what she has said. To buttress what she has said. So we all know that when we buy table water, I have my own water bottle here. So when we buy table water, we see some of these plastics, they are called PET plastics. We see some of these PET plastics being reused for Zobo sales, being reused for granite sales, being reused for chin-chin sales. That's just like a simple example of. So that's like a very simple example of circular economy. So for the breakdown of how this session will go, this session is going to be interesting, interactive, educating as well, because we have experts in the industry. We have the likes of Poonam, who works in the social enterprise space for the circular economy. We have Wunmi Ogunde, who is the COO, that's the Chief Operating Officer for PACAM. We also have Mr. Aniche, who is working in the climate change space. You just have to be relaxed, enjoy the ride, because I tell you, there are so many things to take home from this session. A quick introduction into the Careers Week proper. The Careers Week is a 4-day program. So we are starting today, it continues tomorrow, on Wednesday, on Thursday and Friday, which is the last day for the session. However, it's going to be not fair on your side if you decide to participate in today's session and miss tomorrow at the whole package. So we encourage you that you participate all through the sessions. Plus, I don't know if somebody sees on the e-flyer that we have giveaways. Yes, there are giveaways. Giveaways for the most active and engaging participants, giveaways for those that are going to take part in the assignments. Yes, I know we're not in a school setting. However, there are going to be assignments just to see that, okay, yeah, we're following through and we're enjoying this session. From the registration, we got a list of like so many questions on startups, how to start, how to thrive in the circular economy space when you are just starting your business. We got so many questions on why are we not having colored PET plastic being bought or collected by other recycling companies. Like I said earlier, just calm down. All your questions will be answered and even much more will be answered. Let me thank Deborah once again for talking about the circular economy, because I saw a question. I can't remember the name, I can't recall the name, but the person was asking the difference between circular economy and green economy. There is no much difference. There is no much difference when we have to talk about circular economy or the green economy. Circular economy is more like an aspect of green economy, because according to UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, it says that green economy is just all that concerns low carbon emission, resource management, inclusivity, and the likes. So for the person who asked the question while registering, I hope you are here and I hope you have your question answered, that there is no much difference between circular economy and green economy, just that circular economy is a very big aspect of green economy. So before we go into the session, I'm going to be bringing one of our research fellows. So Deborah mentioned something about our advocacy program. Sorry, please, if you're joining the call, kindly mute yourself so we enjoy the session together. Destiny, let me mute him. Okay, yeah. Thank you. Please let us all mute. Let us all mute ourselves as we join the call so we have an interesting, interactive, and fun session. So I was talking about the programs we run currently in CEIP, Circular Economy Innovation Partnership. We are running two projects, the Loop Lab Incubation Program and the Loop Lab Research Fellowship Program. The incubation program, I hope I'm not too fast, please. And I hope we can all follow at the pace at which I'm going. Please feel free to use the comment chat box to express yourself or to react. Or then, Debbie, please. Hope I'm not too fast and hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, thank you, Alamin. Thank you so much for the feedback. So for the Loop Lab Incubation Program, the Loop Lab Incubation Program is an extension of the Circular Lagos Challenge. I don't know if we're conversant with the word, with the term Circular Lagos Challenge. Circular Lagos Challenge is like a program, a challenge for innovators whereby challenge owners brought up, like big corporate industries came up with questions, issues that they are facing in their own circular economy space. And they brought the questions to us, CEIP, and we threw these questions open. So innovators, people with like-minded, people that are passionate, and they have like big solutions for circular economy problems came on board. So the challenge ended February and 7 winners emerged from the Circular Lagos Challenge. These winners were adopted into a 6-month incubation program. The program was designed to equip these innovators with the right tools that they need to better position themselves in the circular economy space. For the Loop Lab Research Fellowship Program, this is a non-business challenge for students in universities, in polytechnics, tertiary institutions in Nigeria. So this program is designed such that students work on research. So currently we have three challenges they're working on. So these students were selected, they actually passed through a process. They were selected and grouped into different challenge teams. So at the end of the whole proposal work, they are going to be They are going to be working on a paper that would eventually be publicized. Talking about our project, I'd like to bring on board one of our research fellows. He's going to be introducing himself, his team, the challenge question, what they are working on, and the solution and innovation they are working on to solve the challenge questions. So I saw Fagbemi join the call. Fagbemi, if you are on the call, please unmute yourself while you introduce yourself, you introduce your team members, you introduce your challenge questions and the solution you are working on. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me? Hello, just to be sure. Hello, can you hear me? Good afternoon.
Yes, go ahead. We can hear you. Good afternoon.
Right.
We can hear you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Fagbemi. I'm a student of environmental management and psychology from the Federal University of Agriculture, and I'm working with other fellows, namely Aniche PHIL, and Kasali Akorede, and our faculty lead is Dr. Mrs. Akere Akran Marian. And we are working on the challenge 2, which is to develop a tool that helps entrepreneurs to understand the differences between different organic fertilizer types, understand how they can measure and classify their own organic fertilizer, and target markets for their products. So according to what I was asked, please. All right, so how we got selected and the process. It happened that I'm a recycler, and before I gained admission to the Federal University of Agriculture, I've been into the recycling business, and I'm also a project manager for my College of Environmental Management, and we are working on a program on sanitation, sensitization, and environmental summit in a bid to clear the environment on, and also lay emphasis on the need that our environment must be clean. Now, what our challenge is all about, like I said, we are working on challenge 2. And so far, so good. What we have been able to come up with is we are addressing the challenge, which is structured interview with stakeholders to get their opinions. Then we hope that at the end of the interview, we'll be able to collate the responses and use a word map. We are hoping to use Delphi technique and will be used to analyze their responses. And hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Fagbemi,
Yes.
please try to be. Okay.
Okay. So according to the current trend, our innovative tool in relation to past innovation, according to the current trend, is the prominent use of inorganic fertilizers, which contribute to the deterioration of nature and major pollutants constituted by farmers in order to increase farm produce. So major target participants for this particular research that we are working on is to engage different stakeholders in interview sessions during the course of this research. All right. So people we are looking to meet include agricultural produce marketers, poultry farmers, large and small scale agricultural enterprise, agricultural institute, firms, general farmers, and also we are looking forward to meet the International Institute of Tropical Agriculture, IITA, Circular Economy Challenge 2 sponsor. And our target challenge, to every unproductive soil, there is a particular nutrient deficiency, and to enrich such soil, the deficient nutrients should be of the highest percentage in any fertilizer being applied. So in a bid to make easy identification of this particular deficiency, is the tool proposed, taking example of a known foliar organic fertilizer. Organic fertilizer users face various challenges in aspect of identification of target nutrients derived from various organic components. So the proposed tool is a kit to help neutralize a term agripreneur called nutrient abuse, thereby making use of the right organic components for the right efficient soil. So that's basically what we have been working on. So far so good. This is how far we've come. Like I said, we are getting in contact with the major stakeholders that I mentioned earlier to collect their responses on their encounter with the use of organic fertilizers and the experience they've had in comparison with comparing the organic fertilizers with inorganic fertilizer, the air challenges and what they have experienced so far using each of these fertilizers. So lastly, I want to say that we would like to meet and discuss with IPA before we set out to the field, so we can have a short interview with them to give us the headway prior to the field work. And lastly, we would like to appreciate the Circular Economy Innovation Partnership, CEIP, for this wonderful opportunity to transform lives and the environment. And personally, I would love to thank CEIP for sharing this challenge too and for thinking of innovative ways to solve recurring issues. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for that wonderful insight into the work that you are doing. Thank you so much for sharing with us. We're so grateful to have you on. So yeah, our time is of utmost importance, and we thank you so much for your patience, everyone, this far. So we will get straight into the session, and then we do hope that you enjoy it. So our first speaker for today, I will just share my screen. He's going to be giving us a bit of a look into his climate journey. And I think Tolu mentioned that already. He's going to giving us a look into his climate journey. So I'll just share my screen and then introduce him. So kindly mute anyone if you're joining. Thank you so much for that. Yes, so I hope everyone can see my screen. Oh, I went too fast, okay. So our first guest for today is Aniche PHIL. Ebosie. Yeah, I think that's an Edo name, Ebosie. Okay, so forgive me, sir, if I didn't do justice to your name. He's a Cleantech entrepreneur and a consultant. So Aniche is a Cleantech entrepreneur and consultant with experience in geographic information systems for renewables, solar mid-grid design, waste to energy system development, that is anaerobic digestion, and appropriate agro-processing technologies for drying agricultural produce. He is a contributing author to the Africa EU Renewable Energy Cooperation Program, REC. Published. Okay, so I'll take that again. I beg your pardon. He is a contributing author to the African EU Renewable Energy Cooperation Program, REP, published Captive Power in Nigeria paper, and a certified renewable energy professional from the Renewables Academy, Berlin. I noticed something while I was reading this. There's a lot of renewables. So, sir, we're so delighted to have you. And we would like you to, if you could briefly share with us what your climate journey has been. How did you get started in the space and how has it been? As well as how is this important to circular economy? So over to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Deborah. Good evening, everybody.
Oh, okay, so sorry, sir. Okay, so yes, one of the other things I would like to mention is, so sir
Don't
lost
worry.
Okay, so thank you so much. Okay, okay.
So good evening, everyone. Have you spotted me? Am I on spot for the camera?
Yes, we can see you, sir. We can see you.
Okay, great. So apologies, I think I'm overworking myself. I lost my voice yesterday, so you just have to bear with my husky, croaky voice, but it's still me. So I'll start what Deborah has called my climate journey. So my first degree was in physics in university in Ahmadu. I went to Ahmadu Bello University. And after physics, this was the late 90s. Like everybody else, I hopped on the IT bandwagon. That's the information technology. So I started, as soon as I finished university, I started a company. So we called the company Cedric the Third, F3, some friends and I. So we would do software, website development, and graphics. So I worked as the CEO of that company for a while. And a client of ours wanted to integrate geographic information systems into one of the projects he gave us to make to do for him, a software project. And prior to that time, I had never heard of geographic information systems. So I wondered that what in the world is this? So I had to do a research, and I found it was bringing maps into IT. So it was a merger or a convergence of mapping and information technology. And I thought it was so intriguing. And I went to do my master's in it. So I moved to Europe and started a master's specialty in GIS. And after the master's, one of my jobs was to build solar maps, the best places in Europe to build maps for solar projects, 1 million euros and above. And every time I did that, I would sort of check it against Nigeria. And I would say, oh, if we could do this in Europe, we can do it in Nigeria. So I was always checking. Then we were done with the solar maps, and we were told to make wind maps for the best places in Europe as well, to have wind farms, 1 million euros and above. So the same thing, I would check it against Nigeria because I had the geographical map of every country. And Nigeria is pretty good for solar, but not so good for wind because our wind speeds are pretty low. So I'm sure you all know everything about solar, or most of you do. But for wind, you need a specific wind speed for your wind projects to be viable. But the wind speeds we have in Nigeria are too low, except for pockets. So I was hooked to renewable energy. So I moved to Germany. So I studied in France. I worked in France then. So I moved to Germany to go and learn more and sort of hone my skills in renewable energy. So I stayed there for a couple of months or years and worked. Then moved back to Nigeria about 2012 to join the climate ecosystem. So I had, like you say, I had ported from IT to renewable energy. So coming to Nigeria in 2012, I realized a lot of people were into solar. Everybody I spoke to was into one solar project or the other. So I thought, this might be a good time to go into waste to energy, which has to do with biogas and aerobic digestion. So I set up a biogas company. In 2012, it was called Eon Gratis. And we started working with Lagos State. You know, we have huge amounts of waste in Lagos. So Lagos as the state officially in 2022 generates a whopping 16,000 tons of organic waste. Well, so they tell you that Lagos State has about 40% organic waste. So if you take 40% of 16,000, that's the amount of organic waste we have. And just like Fagbemi spoke about, you can convert organic waste to a lot of things, including organic fertilizer, renewable energy in the aspects of renewable natural gas, biogas. And biogas can be used for energy generation or for as an alternative to your LPG, kerosene, firewood for cooking. So we built my company on grass is works with LOMA, the Lagos State Waste Management Authority, to build one of the first aerobic digesters in Lagos in one of the markets, K2 markets, because marketplaces in Lagos generate a lot of waste. So we were using the energy from that market to power the street lights for the market and to make some organic fertilizer as well. In 2015, I had that company bought over by a bigger company. So they bought us over and made me CEO. So I still retained my title in the company, but this time with a salary to come with it. So, it was pretty good. And Please
Yeah.
give me timing. Let me know how much time I have left. And
Okay.
then on, I formed another company called Togasa. So
Okay.
Togasa became more of an appropriate technology company. And when I say appropriate technology, in my experience, I find that it's not everything that works in Germany or in France or in the US or China that works 100% in Nigeria. It might work, but when it comes to maintenance, you don't want to have to ask people from Europe or Asia to come all the time to maintain your equipment. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of overhead. So it's best to realize that appropriate technology would work. Anything the Europeans or the Americans can do, we can do here with um, low tech, low technology. So meaning if you build with low tech, be it your anaerobic digesters, your hybrid dryers, whatever it is, you can have local engineers or local workmen repair, maintain easily at very reduced cost. So we started building dryers, hybrid dryers using solar power and a bit of biomass as well. Because during my journeys, especially when I worked for the RCP is like the Renewable Energy Cooperation Program between Africa and the European Union. I found that there was a lot of rot, a lot of fruits and vegetables that would rot away on the farms because they couldn't get them to the market fast enough because our roads were bad and because we did not have good transportation systems and we did not have good storage systems. So we started looking at that to start drying fruits. So we had a few people say to us that can we build juicers to extract the juices from these fruits and sell juice. And I thought about it, and it wasn't possible. Well, it is possible, but that that's required a lot of energy because you need energy to extract juice from fruits. You need stainless steel food grade storage facilities to store your edible grade juice fruits. Then the biggest challenge, you needed electricity to make cooling to store those fruits. And that was not just happening because we did not have electricity. How would you store juiced pineapples or mangoes? So we thought drying would be a better option where you just use the sunlight. You dry it, you bag it, and you store it for months on end till demand is high and you push it out. So these were the kinds of appropriate technology things we were pushing and we're still pushing. So my expertise goes across that into biomass itself. And when I say biomass, I mean agricultural waste. What do you do with the corn husks, with your corn stover? What do you do with the rice husks when we process rice? We have millions of tons of husks, of stover, of all sorts of agricultural waste. Can these things be recycled back into society, either to make electricity, to make energy, to make heating, or to make animal feed? So I left this out. So there was a time we were also into animal feed because we were building biogas plants for livestock farmers. And when we did this, we found out that we were taking care of their animal waste, converting that waste to fertilizer and energy for these farmers. But they also had another challenge, which was animal feed. And I see most of you are conversant with livestock or some sort of agriculture. Animal feed is not cheap. Think of soya beans, think of fish milk, think of all these things. They cost an arm and a leg. So we went into partnerships with bigger industries, the Nigerian breweries of this world, the Procter and Gamble, the Cadbury's that have byproducts, which are still byproducts that can be used for animal feed, byproducts that are still rich in protein and carbohydrates. So we collect from these bigger companies, process them, and when I say process, it's basically just drying in with some occasions we add some protein into this and push back into the animal feed market at, at prices where our local farmers can afford. And this is all parts of what the circular economy does. We take from one industry, we process, add to it and take it to another industry. So for instance, like I was saying, we take from industries, we take to the farmers give their animals give us animal waste, we convert that animal waste to fertilizer, we take that fertilizer back to the farms, the farmers use that fertilizer to grow our crops, and the whole circular economy goes round and round. So I would add to what my hosts have been saying. So from the 1900s, man has practiced what is called the linear economy. Linear means a straight line. So we either mine from the earth, or we grow, we plant, we harvest. We take what we have mined and harvested, we produce different products. We sell these products, we use these products, and at the end of life of those products, we throw them away and discard them. So that's a linear economy. But now, from the 20th century, 21st century, we started practicing what is called a circular economy. Like a circle, it goes round. So it becomes a cradle to cradle, from life to life. So in the past, it was a cradle to grave, from life to death, and we throw away. So the circular economy, in its simplest terms, just means circular. It never goes out of that cycle. It just keeps going around. So it's a cradle to cradle process. So
Oh, so I'm sorry, sir.
that's
I'm
what-
sorry. Yes, I
Go
have
on.
to cut in. Thank you
I
so
told
much,
you to give me
sir.
timing and let me know how much time
Yes,
I have,
yes.
but that's fine. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
okay. Thank you very, very much, sir. Okay, I want to say
You're
thank you
welcome.
for sharing your journey with us. It has been really interesting to like listen in to the entire process. And I think one of the things that I would say that I've noticed, and then everyone can also agree that they have noticed, is that, you know, your path started with some kind of stumbling on it, and then a fascination as to what this industry holds. I want to say thank you so much. So there are a couple of questions for you, but then I'm thinking that I will hold these questions to so you, everyone, you can keep dropping your questions that you have for Mr. Aniche, and then I will hold these questions, and towards the end of the session, I will just have all the speakers can, you know, begin to interact with the questions that you have, and that would be able to like save time so everyone can come up and speak, because we have 3 speakers lined up today. We have Mr. Aniche, we have Poonam, and then we also have Wunmi. So I hope that this is fine with everybody, so that we can actively manage our time. I know that we all took time out from our busy schedules to be here today. So I don't know, having said that, yeah, I think I would like us to move to the second speaker. Is that okay with everyone? You could just comment in the chat box that this is fine. Because from the look of things, I'm seeing that we are going to be overshooting time. So we plead with you to kindly allow us to do that, so we could actually take all the questions that come in for this session. So I will immediately begin to introduce Poonam, who is our second speaker for the session. Let's see. Okay, thank you so much. That's fine. Thank you so much for your awesome feedback. Thank you so much. Okay, so I want to quickly introduce Poonam, and yeah. So this is a lady that is, I don't want to say superwoman, because I feel that it might come off as cliche, but yes, let's rock it. She has, Poonam is a business development and strategy lead at MitiMeth. Yes, MitiMeth. So she has over 15 years of experience in the developmental sector, specifically in education and livelihood. And then she has worked with grassroots communities in various parts of India. At present, she works as a business development and strategy lead at MitiMeth in Lagos, Nigeria, where she is actively involved in identifying business opportunities, partner strategies, and integrating backward supply chain. In the past, she has headed the project for organizing the Global Natural Fiber Symposium Asia, which brought together stakeholders from countries across Asia, Africa, Latin America. The conclusion of the symposium laid the foundation for setting up a Section 25 company, Global Natural Fibers Forum. She has led teams for training and skill development in a number of projects, including one in Switzerland, including one in Swaziland, Africa. Her contributions have been in terms of understanding the social context and development needs, designing projects to build the skill gap, and identification of relevant stakeholders across the value chain. Women empowerment, gender parity, and livelihoods are some of the sectors that she is passionate about. Having said that, I'm so sorry. Having said that, I would like to welcome Poonam to, take the floor and share with us a bit about her journey. Thank you so much, Ma. So over to you, Poonam. Okay.
Thank you, Deborah, for this opportunity. I'm glad to be here. And thank you for this nice introduction. So basically right now at present, I work as a business development and strategy lead at MitiMeth. So MitiMeth is a social enterprise based in Nigeria, and we work with water hyacinth. So water hyacinth is a weed that is found in riverine communities in the waters. So we train people how to transform the weed and make different products, and provide market support to enable livelihoods for the people at the bottom of the pyramid. So the entire project actually looks at two important aspects, which is the environmental aspect of removing the weeds and clearing the waters, as well as providing dignified livelihoods to women in Kogi state as well as in Ebosie. So this is what we do. And my role essentially here is about how can we scale this up. So currently we are working with 100 women, and the idea is how can we take it to 500 women. So how do we create those markets which can then enable other women to have the livelihoods or to build the livelihoods.
Okay. Thank you so much Okay.
So this is what I do now, but my journey started in 2001. I'm a psychology graduate, and I started my work as an administrative assistant in a NGO, which is now called Oasis. So I am from a small town in west of India, and after I graduated, I wanted to pursue more further education, but then it was not possible. So I started working at the age of 21, and it has been 20 years now that I have been working in this sector. So starting from administrative assistant to being a business development and a strategy lead, it has been a long journey and a lot of milestones along the way. I will not be able to get deeply into a lot of things because I know the time is very short. So I'm just going to be very quick into how things have been and the important learnings along the way. So the first part of my life was 7 years I stayed at a NGO, which was Oasis. I started as an administrative assistant and learned many things along the way. So like I said, I was a psychology graduate. I was not from education field, and I was not, I did not have any special technical skills as such. So I learned a lot of things on the job. And one of the learnings that I have, and I would stress upon all the people, since here we have a lot of youngsters here who are in this forum. I'd just like to tell you that you can learn, and that is what you should believe. So it is not about that you are from a particular sector and that you can do certain things, but it is about if you are willing to learn, then there is a way and you would be able to go forward on that. So just focus on that. And the second thing also is that many times we can't see what is ahead. So for example, for me, I had not imagined that, okay, from when I was working in the initial years, I did not know where it would take me to, or what was, whether I would reach to this level. And to be honest, I had not even imagined that I would ever be going to Nigeria, for example. This has just happened. So just focus on what is the next step and the next milestone that you need to reach, and what are the things that you need to learn to reach that. So anyway, so in the first 7 years, I worked mostly in the administrative sector, doing then learned some accounting, books, then some financial things, um, organizing, coordination of workshops, and that's what I was doing. And eventually, then later on, I moved to a different organization, which was called Industry, and this was in Bangalore. So I started my work again. I was very particular from the beginning that I wanted to do something in the social sector, and I just didn't want to get stuck in the organizations which may not have the real impact. So I started again by interning at Industry, and later on, when I realized that no, this company is really something, this enterprise is really something that is doing good, I joined them after a month, and they were also obviously happy with the work, so they offered the job. I started again there as a documentation manager. So we had a big project. We did a survey. The project was about doing a survey of 7,500 artisans across, which were spread across 28 districts in India, and to come up with a way forward, how do we build their livelihoods. So it was a huge project. It was a very prestigious project from a reputable organization. So it again taught me a lot of things. We, as a team, we managed to do the project, and by the end of the year, we had submitted all the relevant documents. We had built a big team, a lot of stakeholders, coordinating with a lot of stakeholders across so many districts, so many villages, and so on and so forth. But apparently, for some reason, that project didn't move forward. So after all the work of all the hard work that we did, eventually we realized that things didn't move forward. We waited for a year, and like it happens in many social enterprises, you run out of funds. You can't really wait, and a lot of people had to be laid off during this period, and we had to really look for something else to do. Thankfully, there was another project with the organization where I got involved. But the learning that I want to emphasize is that there are a lot of ups and downs when you are working in social sector, and especially because when you are trying to combine these two aspects of the development and as well as that economic sustainability, it is always going to be very difficult. So it is very important that you are committed and dedicated to it. And honestly, in last 20 years, I mean, there has been so many moments when I have felt that, oh, now let me just quit. This is just too much. So, but you have to remind yourself why you are here and why you are in this space to keep you going. So there has been time when we have not been paid for like 3-4 months at a stretch, and then you really start thinking about it. But anyways, having said that, then I have moved on to other projects and got a new opportunities. But what I've learned, and like you already mentioned, Deborah mentioned in the bio, that I was also involved into organizing a global symposium in 2012, and we laid the foundation for setting up this company, which was a Global Natural Fiber Forum. And the genesis of this company and the objective of this company was, how do we bring together different stakeholders which are working with natural fibers across the world on a common platform for shared learnings and basically networking with each other and going forward together. So a kind of a collaborative and a networking platform. But again, this project also, like before, it didn't move forward. So there was some good that was achieved, but then it was again not something that went the way we wanted it to go. And the reason I'm highlighting again is that when you are in social sector, a lot of your, especially when you are working in companies, you will realize that a lot of your projects also depend on your funders and on your other partners. So it is a kind of a collaborative thing. Unlike business, or unlike in a just when you are in a not-for-profit organization where things are more straightforward, I mean, here you have to essentially work with a lot of other stakeholders, and they will impact and also decide the course of work that you do. So social sector is all about also co-creation and collaboration, when you interact with your stakeholders and then co-create the projects which are good for them and for which are good for you, and where you can, kind of gel together. So that's also something important that I feel you should all understand, and you will definitely keep it in mind. So having said that, eventually I was then working with producer companies. I have worked a lot with setting up enterprises across India, in many states across India. And I have worked in about 10 states. So my journey also included learning, like I said, on the job. So I learned documentation, I learned fundraising. I headed the fundraising department for a couple of years. And then I was as head of enterprise development team. So my job essentially was to visit various communities across India and outside to understand the circumstances that they were facing, the skills they had, the resources they had, and how do we harness them and build livelihoods for them. So we used to work with natural fibers. So we used to work with banana bark. And just to give you an idea, so when we started with about 20 people working with banana bark. We made different products out of banana bark, and we were selling. So these were home decor and other artifacts. When I left, we had a company where we had more than 750 artisans, and we were a regular supplier to IKEA. So it was a big journey, and all through the journey, I learned in the process of how do we reach out to them. And I feel that it is also very important to stay in an organization for a long time to really understand how it works. So I feel commitment is the key, because you will have challenges along the way, and many times it will be very you will feel that, oh, now we should just quit. But if you keep job hopping, you might not understand the nuances of how do you actually build, and how, when there are challenges, how do you overcome them. So I believe it helps when you are with the organization through its ups and downs, and understand the challenges, and then you are able to work on your own also, which is better. So yeah, and eventually, so later on I left the company, and then I started working as a consultant. So I worked with the International Trade Center, which is a part of United Nations, and I worked in Ethiopia, and I did some projects in Kenya as well. Apart from that, I have worked in Swaziland before, and we have also had a number of teams visiting India, where we used to mentor them. So we had a team from Rwanda. Even through MitiMeth, the connection actually was where the founder of MitiMeth had come to India for a study tour. And so we were, she came for a study tour where I met her, and that's how the connection was built. So yeah. Okay. So I think, yeah, I hope I have not been very quick, and people have got a little bit of the essence of the journey.
Yes, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you so much. Guys, please, you could comment in the chat. Thank you so much for that, Wunmi. As in, I really love the way you gave us your presentation, and how you paused at different points to tell us, bits and pieces of what you learned on the journey. So I was taking a lot of notes, and then I'll just quickly share it before I let the audience have the time to drop their questions. So I think one of the key takeaways from what you said is, as you go through the journey, there needs to be the willingness to learn. And sometimes you might have to learn on the job. So it means that, or what I hear you clearly saying is that sometimes you might not have the entire skill set to say, this is what I want to do. But if you are willing to learn, you can actually make it work. I see someone's hand raised, Miriam. So yeah, I would allow you to ask that question now so that we could get a bit of a conversation going. Is Miriam still here? Is your hand still up? Or was that a, okay, yes. Miriam, please, you could quickly ask your question. Oh, I don't think she's dialed in. Okay, so I'll just go back to asking the question that I wanted to ask. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask you, or that we got rather, was, would you say that it is worth it? Would you say that it is worth it for more people to create social enterprises? Would you say that it is worth it, having highlighted that most of the time funding is one of the, it's not really a challenge per se, but funding actually determines how far the project that you are doing would go? Would you say that yes, you encourage more people to take part in social enterprises, or you tell them to just find another route? So I would like you to help with the answer to that.
Okay, I think now there is this concept of a blended capital model, which probably you would be aware of, right? So blended capital model is that since in a social enterprise, you need to look at both the aspects. You need to look at the development aspect where, for example, I'm from livelihood. So we had a lot to invest on, training people, helping building leadership skills, building leadership, digital literacy, and so on and so forth. Now, these aspects are not related directly to business, but because you are a social enterprise, you have to actually do, this is more for the development of the people, like, helping. So for this kind of activities, there needs to be a different fund, which is more from the development aspect. And the other aspect of this business as social enterprise is that how do we support people to make the products, then we sell it in the market, and we build that marketing or the business that we build, which eventually sustains the enterprise. So we can get an investment for the business aspect, but for the development aspect, it is important to get the fund in the form of grants. Because if you start investing your profits in development, eventually you realize that you will not go very far. It's going to be very, very difficult. So probably if there is a possibility, I mean, it's very important to look at blended capital model. I do encourage people to go, I mean, to set up social enterprises, because I think this is the way forward. However, at the same time, I also feel that now the understanding is much more than it was when we started. So if you also go to different funders, you will get it. I mean, it's not that you won't get it. It's just what I wanted to emphasize was that it can be difficult, and you should not quit because it is difficult. And sometimes the road, what you want to take, it may not be exactly the same. It may lead to some different route. But if the goal is the same, then you should always also look at these options. So it's more about co-creating than just about saying that, okay, we want to do this, and this is how we want to do it. So a lot of times during fundraising, I have these experiences where I have been talking to the funders, and then they will say that their objectives are different. But if the goals are same, then we always, try to find out at least something that would work, which will work for them as well as for us. So finding some middle ground where we can collaborate.
I was on mute. Thank you so much for that wonderful answer. If anyone in the audience has any questions, you could drop them. Okay. So yeah, what measure? Okay. So I'll just read this question from Conan Prince. He says, what measure? Okay, that went really fast. says, what measures can we take to push the enterprise when grants? Okay, I think she has answered that. What measures can we take to push the enterprise when grants are not available? And I think you mentioned that where you said we can adopt the blended capital model, I think. Or would you like to address that question? I think you.
No, yes, I think my answer is that we can look at the blended capital model. And if you have a business aspect, if you are in a social enterprise, then, for some time your enterprise can be sustained through the business part of it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that, ma'am. I don't see any other questions coming in. So if you have questions, you can drop them. And then, of course, like I said, we'll revisit all the questions that you have, or the questions that might be forming in your minds as we go through the session. Thank you so much, Poonam. So I am going to hand over to Tolu. Again, I would like to thank everybody for your patience. Yes, it is after 5 p.m. Thank you so much for staying through with us. And then I'm going to hand over to Tolu so that she could bring our final speaker for today, who is, she'll introduce the speaker. I'll just leave that to her. And yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for your patience. So over to you, Tolu.
Thank you so much, Debbie. Thank you, Poonam, ma'am, for such a wonderful session. I actually took down notes because when it comes to circularity, when it comes to sustainability, I like to take down notes because whether you like it or not, you need the notes you've taken one day. So I'm going to be going to the next session, which is our last, but not the least speaker for today. However, before I call her on board or before I introduce her at all, I want to ask just 2 questions. Okay, Fagbemi, I think what we will do is at the end, we will just share the social media handles of our speakers so you can reach out to them as well. But then if time permits, we are going to still allow the speakers to take your questions. And I can see Fagbemi has a question for Poonam. So I just want to and please, I want you to use the comment chat box to answer these questions. Remember, we have prize giveaways. My very first question will be, during Poonam's session, she mentioned that there are like 2 key things to have in mind when you are in the circular economy space. 2 key things to have in mind when you are maybe you are pursuing a career or you are working as a social enterprise person in circular economy space. That's the first question. The second question is this: what model can be adopted when you're not getting grants to push your social enterprise in the circular economy space? Should I repeat the questions again? Let me repeat the questions again. The first question, Poonam mentioned 2 important things to keep in mind when you are pursuing a career in the circular economy space. The second, what model should be adopted when you are not getting funds to drive your social enterprise? So please drop your answers in the comment box. The first two people will get our prize giveaway. So while we'll do that, I'm going to share my screen and introduce our next speaker. I'm going to introduce our next speaker. Personally, I'm very, very much excited about this. I'm sure we've heard of PACAM. Yoruba will say Ekonle. I don't know the Igbo word for that, and the Hausa. Please, if you are Igbo or Hausa and you know the word to use for PACAM, like echo, take them away, PACAM. Please drop your answers in the comment chat box. So we're waiting for the first 2 participants to give answers to the questions. The first question is 2 main things to keep in mind when you're pursuing a career in the circular economy space. The second, what model should be adopted when you're not getting funds to push your social enterprise? Okay, Sikiru, there are 2 questions, remaining 1. So that means we're not following all through. Don't let me conclude. Don't let me conclude. Okay, give me some minute to share the screen. Debbie, can you kindly help share the screen for Wunmi Ogunde while I read out the...
Okay, that's fine.
Thank you. Only one person has sent in answer, blended capital model, which is correct. So just one person. Okay. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you so much. Okay, so our next speaker is Wunmi Ogunde, and I'm going to be reading out her bio briefly. Fagbemi blended capital. Let me repeat the question before I read out our bio, please. The first question, our second speaker, Poonam, mentioned two key things to put in mind or have in mind when you're pursuing a career or you're working in a circular economy space. Okay, while we wait for the answer, I'm going to read out our speaker's bio. Wunmi Ogunde is an engineer with a passion for people and knowledge. She has a bachelor's degree in automatic control systems engineering from the University of Sheffield. Wunmi also has an MSc in manufacturing systems engineering from the University of Warwick, UK, where she had begun to see the need for manufacturing and recycling processes to enhance sustainability for the future. She served as a research analyst with the Materials Sustainability Department in Warwick Manufacturing Group, UK in 2011, where she focused her research on plastics, food, packaging, and recycling of solid waste materials. Wunmi has over 10 years experience in the recycling and manufacturing industry. She's currently the Chief Operating Officer of XRUBICON Solution and manages the PACAM product. She is the founder of EMR Consults, a sustainability consultancy agency. She is also the editor and publisher of Eco Digest, an environmental sustainability magazine. She runs a training program for women in recycling and energy, WIRE, which is a quarterly event to train and engage women to gain skills to work within the named sector, that is the WIRE sector. Please, I want your emojis, I want your reactions in the comment box as we welcome on board Wunmi Ogunde. Please, let's see your comments, let's see your emojis, let's see your claps. Welcome on board. You're welcome, ma'am.
Good afternoon. I don't know if you can hear me clearly. So
Yes, ma'am, we can hear you.
I want to be sure. Okay,
yes,
because I know we had that trouble earlier, but if it's clear, then I can go on. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Lady. I really appreciate this platform. Thank you for the invitation by CIP. I think one of the things that we do appreciate about what you do is that collaboration. I feel, in the last few months that we've sort of been engaging with you, you sort of encourage that collaboration, and that's something that has been very vital even to us as well. So I really appreciate all the speakers. Thank you so much. I've learned as well. Thank you, Poonam. Thank you. I think I missed his name earlier, Aniche. I think it was also a very, very strong profile. I look forward to connecting with them as well. Also just sharing, and just was, I think I wanted to say something on when you are running a social enterprise. I think Poonam addressed that. So what I was going to say was, a lot of people always wonder, why are we doing it and things like that. But again, it also gives you the opportunity to learn. And I would share my journey as well, and probably maybe one or two people can pick from that. And I hope that, that would also encourage someone today to sort of, help them through their process and their journey. So I'll start from the beginning very shortly. I'll try to keep it as short as possible. I have a 5 minutes mark for myself. So if I'm running over time, so please do let me know. So, I've been introduced, but I would not talk about the journey of or PACAM yet until, I sort of go through, what I have been doing as a person before getting to that. I know a lot of people are very excited to sort of hear about that. So my journey so far really, I think it was Aniche that mentioned, I'm also one of those that actually stumbled on the industry, which is the sustainability, recycling, and all of that. So mine was particularly funny because I remember back then at the University of Warwick where we were supposed to pick a thesis topic to write about in terms of our projects and things like that. And I was like literally one of the last people to get to the place. So I was literally picking like the last set of that nobody wanted to pick. And that was where I came up with, and I found that there was a topic on plastic recycling. And I said, who is going to do this? Because it was a bit away from the manufacturing, but it also had a bit of components of sustainability. So I guess people didn't want to do two research at the same time. So anyway, I went on to do that. So I went on to do a thesis on comparing Nigeria with the, other countries as well. And that was how my interest started. And after that, I went into, so I applied for internship with the University of Warwick, which was Warwick Manufacturing Group, which was a very intense 3-month program. And I think nothing is given, right? If you want it, apply for it and or you ask for it. Because I think that's something I have learned as well, that nobody would assume that you want something. You have to open your mouth to talk. If you don't, everybody would just be looking at you. And I think that was what that opportunity brought for me. And having done that, that in itself has opened up and kept my connection with the university just because of that for the last 10 years. I've been invited back as a speaker at Warwick University of the Warwick African Summit, which were paid for conferences. So again, like I said, if you don't speak up or do things like that, nobody will remember you and you move on and life passes through you. So then I then moved back to Nigeria. I started my career as a trainee engineer at Lee Group, which was a Chinese company. Which has subsidiaries in Hong Kong, South Africa, the UK, and China, and all of that. So I worked with them for 5 years plus. However, within 2 years of working with them, I was promoted as a technical manager for production and recycling. And that sort of also helped me to obviously, again, reinforce my recycling knowledge and everything I needed to do. So I had a very intensive year of practicality of what recycling is about in terms of being in the factory. And I can tell you, I was literally I was the only one that was a woman that was in that level. And I was sleeping in the factory. A lot of people couldn't understand. They were always wondering, oh, you don't have a social life. I'm like, yeah, but there were times that you have to pay your dues to get to where you want to be. So for me, it was a learning curve. I was still young. So I was thinking to myself, why am I rushing? But again, at the time, it was like, oh gosh, I'm stressed. But looking back, I appreciate that journey of my life. I'm happy that I did take those steps too. So I worked in Kano. I was in Kano. This was Boko Haram time for over a year. I was moved to their Lagos office. I worked for a couple of years as well. Then I moved to Ogun State, where I eventually resigned. After my resignation, that was where I knew that I wanted to start my entrepreneurship journey. And that was when it all started in 2017, where I co-founded EcoProne, which is a social enterprise that was helping to tackle waste pollution through recycling, providing education and collection and redemption for people that are, and sort of trying to encourage that culture as well in Nigeria. Having gone through the theory, which was in the university, and worked in a practical organization, understanding the fundamentals, and then now putting it out there that, look, okay, in order to marry these two together, this was the next step for me. And that was one of the reasons that informed setting up EcoProne at the time. And again, we were able to push EcoProne to a point where we got a few recognitions, as one of the top emerging companies at the time. And of course, I had a lot of passion for the space. At that point, I had started to develop sort of like a passion. So for me, it was almost like my passion was meeting my purpose. And that for me was impact. So so everything I had done had sort of just kept going from there. Everything I live and breathe around sustainability, around environment, around manufacturing, which again is also another thing. So a lot of times I speak to manufacturers, which is where my consulting comes in. I'm like, look, you can be manufacturing but still be sustainable. These are the steps to do it. This is how to do it. And and I know one of our speakers spoke specifically to the circular economy and just seeing how that circle works. It all has to be intertwined with manufacturing, with process, with design, and everything all together, with recycling as well. So my journey went on into setting up a consulting, where I started looking at, communicating through the magazine. I also organized one of the first pollution control conference, which I call PolCon, and also which was in 2019. And then of course I do a lot of capacity training projects, which WIRE is one of them. Women for Sustainability is another. And that journey has sort of been gone into where we now talk about PACAM, right? So a lot of people ask, "Oh, how did you guys come about PACAM?" So when I speak to my partner, what inspired PACAM was basically, looking for a way to do things more effectively. Like I said, coming from where I was coming from in terms of where EcoPoon was in collection, you have to be going to people's house door to door. I personally always think, why can't we do things more effectively or efficiently? I don't know if you can still hear me. Is there an issue with hearing me? Or am I clear?
Yes, you are. You are clear, ma'am.
Okay, because I was hearing a bit of noise, so I was thinking it was from my end. So what birthed PACAM was, the school of thought of efficiency and effectiveness. So for me, the question has always been, why can't we apply technology into the waste management sector, the health sector, the banking sector, hospitality, e-commerce? Everybody has infused technology into their business to scale. So why was the difference with us? So that was sort of one of the reasons for us when we thought about this idea, was how can we build the circular economy, build this industry through technology, and actually have a success story to say we actually use technology to scale up. And of course, around the world, clean tech is already coming up. Why should Nigeria be different? Let's look at an indigenous product that can help separating from source, and something that is also very scalable as well. And that's simply what PACAM has done. Create, connecting waste generators to waste collectors. Over time, like I said, we had practical knowledge, understanding that some people will say, "Oh, I didn't know a recycler was here. I didn't know a recycler could pick up from here. I didn't know." So we created that platform whereby it gives you like an Uber for waste system. So you're at the comfort of your house, you request for a pickup, and then any recycler can come and pick up near you. Or you're at the comfort of your house, you live in an estate, there's a drop-off point just around you, you can easily go and drop up there as well. So just creating that effective system that is not stressful, that is interesting to people, that people find fascinating, is something that's part of one of our MOs really. And recycling is obviously one thing that is still relatively new in Nigeria. So we're looking at, let's keep driving that knowledge of zero waste. Can we ensure that, in fact, we are looking at a position whereby in the next few years, people will say waste is scarce, if possible. That's part of our vision. How can we ensure that waste is scarce? And we are looking to drive that so you can imagine the big dream of that, and it's something that so that is one of the things that powers us and pushes us every day when we go along. And of course, do we have problems within the business? Of course, there's a lot of problem. We have, understanding the system is very fragmented. We know that there's a bit of knowledge gap. People ask, why should they be doing this and all of that, which is why we create incentives for things when they need to be done. But are there challenges that can't be surmounted? Of course, they can be surmounted. The cost of, I know someone had talked about funding. Funding is a major part of any business. It's not just a secular business. Even if you decide to go into food today, you would have some funding challenges, and until you meet those challenges before. But having the right model, and I know someone talked about, having like a blended model, having the right model, you can actually create what works for you. We have gone in deep to look at how we can create a B2B, B2C, B2G model. A lot of people are like, "Oh, how are you?" But we're like, well, because we have a model, we have a strategy for each person, we know how to approach it. And if it's not working, guess what? We'll find a way to pivot. We're very open to flexibility. And one of the things that we keep talking about, and if you speak to myself or my partner, is that we're very flexible. We enjoy collaboration. A lot of people don't do that within the industry because everybody tries to keep it in a silo. But the truth is nobody can really go far, especially when we're talking about a circular economy business, when we're talking about circularity. So anyone looking into coming into the space, guys, I think that from now, if circular business is what you look at doing, identify people you think you can collaborate with. Everybody can own their chunk of what they're doing, have a focus of what it is. But guess what? You need to add A plus B plus C plus D to get to where you need to go. You cannot do A plus B plus C. It's not possible because then you lose focus. That's the challenge. So we are constantly looking to drive that. The people that are doing capacity, let them do capacity. The people that are doing advocacy, let them do advocacy. The people that are processing, let them focus. So, but how can we all come together in a blended industry to just make it work? So for us, again, that's sort of what we're pushing, and that's one of our own solution and strategy to push ahead. So I think I've spoken a little bit more about it. So, and I think I was also going to make, in terms of talking about, if you're looking at doing the business, I think I talked about it. I think some of the lessons for me will be, you need to pay your dues. Whether you are learning, whether you're an apprentice, whether you're doing internship, we cannot ever you get what I'm saying, overemphasize what that will do to you, even as a person, in terms of your growth. And I'm also very big on business development, seek knowledge, get ideas, not even just within you. How can you grow as a person? You can't give what you don't have. So if you can't develop your person, you can't give what you don't have even to the world. So that's something that, for me personally, and I enjoy collaboration. So I think that if you're ready to collaborate, you definitely go far, develop your passion, and you just may find your purpose. So your purpose plus passion is everlasting impact. So I think that's my submission today. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. You have actually answered virtually all the questions I have here written down. I'll just quickly highlight some things that she said. Yes, excellent. Teamwork, collab. Thank you. Exactly what I was waiting for. Ifeanyi, thank you so much. You've answered like question 1. I remember that our second speaker mentioned something about procreation and collaboration. And you also said something about collaboration. Collaboration is very, very key when it comes to achieving your goals in the circular economy space. Thank you. Yes, the chat box is on fire. Thank you so much. So I want to streamline this question. This question was extracted from one of the participants that registered. So he's concerned, he's a recycler. From the questions from the question he asked, I can tell that he's a recycler. So he said that some recycling companies don't collect colored PETs. And this poses a lot of problem for him as a recycler. How can this be solved? And why don't they collect colored PETs?
All right, so thank you. I think the person that asked that question, being a recycler, I'm sure they know, but again, I would give I'll put it as my own layman understanding. But generally, it depends on the market. It's driven by markets. Even in as much as, and I'll just have a very honest conversation here, in as much as we are looking at also solving sustainable, so being, sustainable entrepreneurs, and we're also trying to ensure that we keep driving this information out there. There are still people that are doing this also for profit. So which again is why we say enabling people, planet, and profit. You don't want to go into a business. So if secular businesses are not sustainable, then please, why are we there? We have to be honest with ourselves. You also want to eat while you are solving a problem, right? So we need to also have that at the back of our mind. So again, in speaking to the collection of that specifically, I know if he's saying, like Coca-Cola, for instance, they have changed some of their green bottles to white bottles, especially for the Sprite. I don't know if anyone has noticed that. That's because that has a higher value for the recycling. The green bottles, the dark bottles, they are more aesthetic, And the truth is, for those of us that are experts or looking, we can have one of you guys here today that just says, look, I want to champion the fact that let's change all the bottles to white bottles so that can be recycled. It makes recycling easy, it makes sorting easy. And why can't they'll just use a label? So just like what Coca-Cola had done, they just make a green label around it, and every other bottle, especially for the brand, is now white instead of, but the colored bottles itself, there are a lot of challenges with them. And unfortunately, we still have companies that do them. Then it's not even just the green, there's dark, there's gray, and a lot of that. We have personally reached out to international companies as well. Some of them don't even collect it as well, because we want everything to be recycled, but unfortunately, it's not everything that's currently being recycled. So we have tried to also reach out internationally. So there was even a company in Haiti we actually spoke to. In fact, the lady showed us her picture of all those gray bottles and things that she has actually collected, but she said she hasn't even also found a collector for it just yet. So we're also looking at working internationally, if we can all find a collector that can be interested in investing in it, because also is the value. If, for instance, you can give me 10 tons today of that, and you have mopped up all the colored, why do I need to open a very expensive plant to not recycle anything tomorrow? Because it may not be consistent. But the other ones, in terms of monetary value, the white pets, they are more consistent. So I think it comes from more of the profit part. And then, of course, but then the advocacy, we have a lot of organizations that are now trying to push manufacturers and businesses that are, creating these things to change your bottle today so that at least it conforms with the recycling criteria and implementation and things like that. It's still a long journey. We are just getting started. I think, we would have advocates here, we would have, champions that will come from this program. It's still just something that we are all pushing individually and trying to get the best out of it. So there's no one size fits all. We want to collect everything. Some of these things are even being collected and then just stored. So hoping that there will be a company one day that will just say, oh, look, this thing I hear is tons of it around Lagos or around Nigeria even. I have that enough capacity to invest, and we can push for that kind of case. And even if we can find someone to export it, and a company, maybe Germany, for instance, and they can take that kind of volume, and we can guarantee them constant volume, then it will make a good business case.
Thank you so much. So someone asked the question, however, you've answered the question. The question reads, what's the feasibility of ensuring circular economy in Nigeria? What's the feasibility of it? She gave the answer to that. She said that it's going to take a while. It's not like it is not feasible. It is, but it's going to take a while. Slow and steady win the race, they say. So it's going to take a while. It is very feasible. Thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am. We really appreciate you coming on board. We thank you for the knowledge that you've shared with us. And don't forget, she said something about passion and purpose. Many people can be doing many other things, but then know what your niche is, then collaborate. Don't forget, collaborate. So I'm going to be handing over to Debbie to take questions for Mr. Aniche. Thank you once again, ma'am. We appreciate your time. We appreciate your wealth of knowledge. Debbie.
So thank you so much, Tolu, for that. Thank you so much, Wunmi, ma'am. It was really an interesting session with you. And like Tolu said, the chat box was really on fire. A lot of people really resonate with your journey. You dropped so much insight. Thank you so much for that. So I promised at the beginning of the session that we'll take the 2 questions that we had for Mr. Aniche. So I don't know, Mr. Aniche, are you there? I'll just quickly read the questions that we have. I have noted them down. So the first question is from Lucy. So I think Lucy Chioma, she asked the question. She was like, what is the name of the biogas company? So I think during your story, you shared with us that you work with the biogas company or something. And then she's like, what is the name of the biogas company? Probably she's interested in looking them up and finding more about them. And then I'll just ask the second question so you can answer them both at once. The second question is from Fabemi. He says, if I may ask, how convenient can the human dung in the sockaway be easily converted to biogas for cooking? And what are some of the implications attached to this? And I think this was because you mentioned some things about agricultural produce being used, being converted into energy. I think that was where this question was derived from. So over to you, sir, for the answers.
Okay, so the name of the biogas company I worked for in Nigeria or in Germany. So if it was Germany, is a company called Cleantech Technique. So the shortened version of the company name is Cleantech. In Nigeria, I have worked for, well, not worked for, I founded Eon Gratis Limited, and now I'm working with a company called Togata, founded as well. So most of this was companies I founded. For human waste, any organic waste, any kind of waste from animals, humans, livestock would give you a level of biogas. For your toilets, for your sockaways at home, I'm not sure you have enough waste there, because this is a project that has to do with volume, with the quantities of waste that you have. That would translate to the amount of gas you generate. So if you were to convert your sockaway at home to a biodigester, of course it will work, but the question is, do you have enough waste? So one of the questions we ask potential clients that want to convert their waste to energy is, do you have enough? What quantities aerobic generate day? Is it up to 100 kilograms? Is it up to a ton? But if it's just for a home, they don't have enough. So we just tell you not to bother. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for that answer. Thank you so much. I think some of us missed the names of the companies, so we would really appreciate it if you could type the names of the companies, both the ones you founded and the one as well in Europe, in the chat box, so that we can always go back and then check those out as well. Thank you very, very much. So yeah, thank you for that. I don't think we have any other questions, but then if we have questions from the participants, we'll forward them to you so you could answer them, and then we will also send the responses by email as we communicate with the participants. Thank you very much, sir. Okay, so we are gradually coming, I think we've overshot time, so thank you so much everyone for your patience, for your being here. And I think they mentioned something. I see commitment in this room. So Poonam mentioned something about commitment and collaboration. I see a lot of commitment. Staying this long, it means that yes, you guys are committed. If nothing at all, you're committed to learning more about the things that will translate to wealth of knowledge forever. I hope we took notes, because Tolu mentioned something important about note taking, and she was like, you need to take notes because those notes will carry you forward. They will carry you in the future. So some of the things that are happening right now, just to quickly wrap up the session, is in the chat box, we would like to hear your feedback from the session. So we are not in any way saying that we have the perfect picture. We are not in any way saying that this was a 100% wow session. So we would like to hear from you. What would you like us to improve? What would you like to see more of? So in the chat box, Joshua Victoria is dropping the link to the feedback form. We encourage you to please fill out the form and then rate our session, rate the speakers, and then just share with us what you would like to see more of. We take your feedback very seriously, and then we want to put it to good use. As well, I think Tolu is going to come up and round up the session. She has given us assignments. We're doing giveaways, so we're not really joking about that. We're doing giveaways, and then she has dropped 2 questions she picked from Poonam. And then, yes, to encourage you to come tomorrow, we're not going to announce the people today. So yes, we're not going to announce the winners today, but we've taken note of you guys. And I'm sure that some of you already know the winners of this thing. However, it's open to everyone. You are allowed to participate as much as possible to just keep this whole session going. There's an assignment as well. I'm just trying to wrap up through the announcements. There's an assignment as well that Victoria has put up. The assignment is not for us to submit today. The assignment would also come up tomorrow or the day after, and then we'll also be giving a prize away for that. So the person that has put the expo in the chat box, please come tomorrow and then, you know, have that. Yeah, come tomorrow and then share that with us. So yes, I think I will hand over to Tolu to wrap up the session and also to formally invite you to tomorrow's session, where we'll be looking at something amazing: corporate careers, and also, you know, a bit of freelancing and a bit of a disruptor, as we like to call him. So thank you so much. I think this is for today. This is the last you hear from me. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. So Tolu, over to you.
Yes, thank you so much, Deborah. That was like a wonderful wrap it up session. But just to quickly add to what you have said, yes, we have assignment, the 12 hours. I know that we are all conversant with the 3 hours: reduce, reuse, recycle. Tomorrow, I know we have someone that has put in expo for us in the comment box. However, the first 2 people to drop the answer tomorrow in the comment chat box when the assignment is being requested for will get prize. We've also noted today the person, at least, well, we didn't get the complete 100 for the answers, but then we've noted down our winner for today's question. We've noted the most engaging and most active participant as well. Like Debbie said, the program continues tomorrow. You don't have to feel that, oh, I'm shy, I'm this. I used to be like that too. Please engage. Feel free to drop your questions. Feel free to raise your hand. You can use the emoji when you want to ask questions or when you want to contribute, so that it will be noted and you have the floor to ask your questions and contribute. To end this, I formally invite you to please join tomorrow's session. We'll be taking the corporate careers in circular economy. Yes, corporate careers in circular economy. So it's not only recycling or collection or logistics in recycling. There are corporate careers that you can do. Is space for accountants. There is space for administrative assistant. Of course, I'm an administrative assistant and I work in the circular economy space. So come tomorrow and come and have your belly filled with knowledge. Thank you so much to all of our speakers. Thank you so much, Mr. Aniche. Thank you, Poonam. Thank you, Wunmi, so much. I've seen some people comment and sending me chats that they want Wunmi and Poonam to come again. We hope that we have another series and that we bring them on board. We believe that you'll be willing to come on board as well when we throw the invitations to you. Thank you all once again. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your contributions. Thank you for your participation. See you same time, same place tomorrow. Please let's come early so we can wrap up early as well. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Do have an awesome evening.